Welcome. This is Leading with Spirit, the show that gives you an in-depth look at topics like what it takes to navigate your spiritual journey, how to heal yourself and grow your spiritual gifts, and balanced practices to expand your business and your spiritual leadership. I'm your host, Spirit Bird, shamanic teacher, healer, and author, here to guide you on your journey to becoming your most potent spiritual leader. Does it feel like sometimes you can feel everything? Do you sometimes feel, or most of the time, feel guilty pretty quickly as soon as you give yourself attention or address your needs first? Wouldn't it be nice if someone could just tell you the right thing to do so you could do it already? You might have spent a lot of your life being looked up to by others. Maybe you're especially beautiful and good looking. Maybe you did really well in school or you have a great career. You're an achiever for sure. But at the same time, it feels like you can't totally be yourself. You might feel like you're losing a little bit of your soul and magic trying to fit into the mold, trying to do the right thing, trying to play by the rules. You might feel like if it's not perfect, it's failure. Welcome to the West. Its biggest gift, compassion. Its biggest wound, self-doubt. Welcome back to Leading with Spirit. Again, I've been taking you around the wheel this month and looking at the 4 directions and sharing about the wounds and the gifts in each direction so that you can understand how they show up in your life and your business and what to look for and what to heal so that you can move on to your next stage. Today, I'll be sharing the gift and the wound of the West, what you need to know so you can end the stuck pattern of this wound living through you and living through your business and enter into the next stage of that direction. In the West, we'll be walking you through how to move from self-doubt and the cycle of self-doubt and enter into the next stage of self-trust. This, of course, will help you grow personally and sustainably, and also help you grow a powerful and sustainable business. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about empathy, authenticity, and self-trust. The West is especially good at seeing multiple sides at the same time. They're mediators, they're community organizers, they're empaths, healers, coaches, teachers. They have natural home in empathy, and it's sincere. They care deeply about the collective, and they want everyone to be happy and everything to be good. They value success, and if they aren't careful, they might actually get mixed up in their idea of success and what that looks like, and mix that up with society's idea of success and what that looks like. Because they're open to so many different channels and seeing things from different sides, it's easy to abandon our own ideas of what we want for our lives and grab onto what we think we should do based on society. Often, actually, they might abandon who they really are and what they really want in favor of what they believe is correct. It's the symptom of being good girls and good boys and good children. And so you might get caught in a trap of people pleasing or trusting others more than you trust yourself, right? In businesses, that means they build a business or get into work based on what is the right thing to do or what they think will give them success rather than what is right for them or true for them. It can look like following the trends and doing what feels safe and acceptable instead of being who they really are. But when they can move through the fear of being seen for who they really are and share that with the world authentically, then their business is magic. That's where we attract the right people. That's where we receive the most fulfillment and make the most magic in our business, when we make the most magic in our clients' lives. Moving from success and safety in the conventional world or acceptable work and finding success using unique gifts and being seen. in who we actually are. Moving from traditional appearance to being seen as who they are in the heart. Speaking your truth, even if it's disagreed with or it's unconventional. Sharing the side of yourself you keep hidden. This is where you change your story and you change the world and you change the lives of your clients. But because the fear of being seen, especially being seen in new ways, in ways you're not used to being seen, because this fear is intense, you might try your best to slow down that train, right? It's both where you want to go and where you are afraid to go. And the easiest way to slow down that train is to keep getting yourself in this pocket of questions, confusion, and doubt. When we're in this place, when we want to slow down our own success, what we do is we might perfect ourselves or doubt ourselves into complete inaction until we freeze. We might feel like things need to be perfect before we take a risk. And that's true. It's important to know what direction you're in your life and your business and what life is trying to teach you at that time, because there are definitely a time to take risks. And there are definitely times when you shouldn't take a risk if you don't have the capacity for it. And what you actually need to do is give yourself structure and the support so that you can take the risk. And then you take the fear out of taking the risk, which allows the risk to come to fruition and give you what you're looking for instead of it destroying you, right? So simple ways to do this: get a coach, train, have a safety net of capital if you need to, have, a second business, have a part-time job while you're building your new business. These are all really important things for the West if you're in this first stage of it, right? But at the bottom line for the West is and for everyone, the best structure that you can have, the thing that will allow you to be the safest in your decisions, in following the right path, making the right choices, is having trust in yourself. How do we know we can trust ourselves? Well, how do we know we can trust ourselves? One thing we do is we bring in people who disagree with us. So this might be part of your path. Like every time you go to start feeling confident and trust yourself, you might bring in a naysayer or somebody who disagrees with you or tells us that we're wrong. And so we get kicked back into this swirl of self-doubt. So you have to know that this is your sabotage. This is what holds you back. This is how you hold yourself back. You might look around and feel like you don't fit in and that people don't value what you value. You might believe that people won't pay for spiritual work or that you need to hide it or sneak it in. That they don't dream the way you do. That they're waiting for you is a dream you have to cultivate the capacity to receive. Because that's likely what's happening. What's happening is likely your clients, the community that is desiring the same thing that you're desiring, is actually waiting for you to do it. And so you have to cultivate your ability to receive the capacity for that to be okay. For it to be okay that they're dreaming of you. Not because you're all that, or you're so amazing, or you're some savior, but because you agreed to help. It's your job. And when it feels like they don't value you, or you get off track, because that happens, you have to be able to find yourself again and know where you are and what you want. Because it's not everybody else's job to make it safe for you or make it perfect or clear the path. It's your job to make it safe for yourself. And the best way to stay safe is to be all of who you are and share that. Being you is actually the safest thing. And so if you're finding yourself in this West wound of self-doubt and questioning, just remember that there are a few things that are going to be important for you. One, it's important to know your self-sabotage, that the questions is what you do to slow yourself down. Two, there are easy ways to get yourself support. Again, get a coach, training, have a cushion so it doesn't feel so risky if you're starting your business. Have a side job while you're starting your business. Same thing if you're starting to share, maybe you're starting to share your spiritual side with others, and that feels a little uncomfortable. We want support and structure there too. So if we're going all the way from having it completely hidden to wanting to be the full expression of our spiritual self and have people see us that way, that's a big jump. That's a big leap. There's a big gap for questions and doubt. And if we don't have the capacity to deal with people who disagree with us, it's going to be scary to feel that, to take that leap. And so support looks like taking small steps and doing it gradually. That's how we get to where we want to go faster. Instead of trying to force us to the biggest thing, we actually just need to take little steps at a time. So that might look like starting to share a little bit and going from there. Yeah. And again, one more, just summing it up again for the West, your biggest gift is compassion and your biggest wound is self-doubt. The reason you have self-doubt is because you can see so many different sides. And so when we get caught in that from the wound, it makes us not know where we are or what we personally believe. But when we can drop into ourselves and know and trust ourselves, that's when we move into this gift of compassion, where we start doing things that's actually helping the community, that's actually for the greatest good. Actually, what's for the greatest good is for us to join the community completely as who we are. That's what everyone's waiting for. And that's what I want to help people with. Right? That's a big step. And one of the things that's hard for the West is it can feel like maybe it's being selfish or self-centered. But actually, this is what helps others more. When you can give that to yourself, you can help others more. And you actually become the healer. And you heal this pattern in yourself by knowing yourself and trusting yourself. Yeah. So I also want to come back one more time and sum up the ways of thinking in each of the directions. So again, in the North, the way of thinking is knowing, just knowing, pure knowing. The way of thinking in the East is non-dual, universality, oneness. The way of thinking in the South is duality, right versus wrong, good versus bad. And the way of thinking in the West is questioning. And so you can see how each of these ways of thinking are really important, both again for your own self and your self-growth, but also to really have a beautiful and balanced business. And as you continue to grow yourself and grow your business, you're going to keep walking around the wheel and keep coming into each of these directions so that they can teach you something. And if you're caught in the wound, you're going to keep walking around in that cycle. That's when we get to experience this thing like we can't break through a barrier that seems like we're up against and we're not sure what the barrier is. This is being caught in the wound of one of the directions. And so this is the way that you actually help yourself get through those blocks, those barriers. And the more you experience the different kinds, the better you are able to deal with them when they come up, because you'll have cultivated your ability to be in the gift of each direction. This makes you a better healer and leader and teacher also, because you're able to be in the gift of each direction and help bring that out in your clients and in your community. And on the great wheel of life, we're all walking around the circle and trading places all the time. Being in a place of the North where we might be learning to hold it for ourselves so nobody else needs to hold it for us. Maybe we're in a place of allowing the spiritual side of us to become as important as the conventional side of us. Maybe we're in a place where we're allowing the conventional 3D side of us to become as important as the spiritual side of us. Maybe we're learning to build new pathways from our deep love and from ourself, the love of ourself, instead of burning bridges. Maybe we're learning to be compassionate for others. Maybe we're learning to have flexibility in questioning. Maybe we're learning to have trust in knowing. This is all part of the wholeness, again, of ourselves and of our community and of our business, because our business is also has its own spirit and has its own life. And we can communicate with our business and we can walk around the wheel with it as well. I hope you've enjoyed the series. I hope you gained from it. It's powerful stuff. You can learn a lot from each of these directions. And one of the best places to start, again, is to start to track and identify where you might notice the wound and how it's showing up in your life so you can see what you need to do to move through that wound. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, please join us in our private Facebook group, Leading with Spirit, especially this month, so we can talk a little bit more in depth about what this looks like. I'd love to hear from you and how this shows up in your life and what wound you feel like you might be in the most. Or I'd love to hear a story about how you've made it through one of these wounds and discovered the gift. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Have you been hearing the call to expand your spiritual gifts and step into your next level of conscious leadership? If you're a coach, healer, or a spiritual leader, you can learn more about Shaman School and growing your spiritual business on our website, HoltonHealingArts.com, or send me a DM at Holton Healing Arts. Welcome to today's Member Query episode, where we explore questions about spiritual paths, intuitive gifts, growing a spiritual business, and shamanism. Do you have a question for us? Send us a DM at Holton Healing Arts. This question is from one of our Leading with Spirit Facebook group members. And the question is, how do I overcome self-doubt in sharing my spiritual work and marketing it in an authentic way? Yes, girl, that is the question. And actually, this one also, I want to go back to really important foundational pieces. So oftentimes our self-doubt in our ability to share gifts and the marketing question is less about, a lot of times it can be wrapped around wounds with money and being seen. And that's all stuff that you can work through in a healing journey. And I find that overall, the more fundamental piece that is related to feeling self-doubt with the work that you're offering is that you're not actually clear about what it is that you are offering in the first place. This can come from a couple of places. One, it's that the vision that we see for ourselves actually scares us. Like we might not actually be ready for the vision that we see for ourselves. So if that's the case, then taking time to do the inner work and connect, find the part of yourself that is afraid and have a conversation with that. Find out why they're afraid, what the story is behind that. And instead of trying to convince them to change their mind, just acknowledge it. Let them have their own experience. Let them have their own fears. The other reason we might feel doubt about sharing our work and especially marketing our work is because our work is based more on what we think it's supposed to look like. It's based on what we think makes you a good healer, what a healer is supposed to look like, what a good business is supposed to look like. And so actually our creation is based on what we think others or what others want it to be or what we think they want it to be. And so we actually cut part of ourselves out of the equation of our own vision to accommodate the other people because we think that that's the right way. So the other way to overcome some of the self-doubt in your business is to reconnect to yourself and your vision and what it is that's actually wanting to come through you and what it is that you want to share rather than the thing that you think will get you that. And that's important to remember. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leading with Spirit. If you did, please share the link for this episode with your biggest takeaway, tagging me at Holton Healing Arts. It would also support me if you subscribed and left a rating and review of the show so we can support more people living their highest purpose. Until next